Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Norrie! It's Norrie! Got a touchdown! Norrie's got a touchdown! Oh, man! Norrie's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium in Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same time. Week 1. It's time to play the games, fellas. How y'all feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that time, boys. Got a hurricane brewing out there in the Gulf of Mexico right now. Hopefully it doesn't impact too many folks' travel plans, but yeah, it's here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be football season in Florida without some nonsense brewing off this off the Atlantic or in the Gulf. But thoughts to everyone on the west coast of Florida. I had a really bad one last year. Dan, I don't know if it'll touch you up in the clouds, in the high rise, the penthouse. But
The issues
sure.
become being close to the water here. The issues become them turning off power because of surge. So that's something that we'll have to be prepared for. You got to just monitor the eye of the storm. So we'll see what the next 24 hours yield. I think it's going to move pretty quickly. So
feels like a great weekend or a week for the king of Coral Springs to return back to his home.
don't think I'll be returning to Coral Springs this week. Shout out to my parents. I'm sure they would welcome me. The old bedroom that I had is probably still readily available for me, but don't think this is an evacuation type of storm. Been wrong before, but these eye storms always do give us a little cause for concern. You had Ida and Ian, and I'm sure there's a few others. So hopefully this one doesn't do what it does or is supposed to do. And certainly thoughts and prayers. I think the Steinhatchee area, it looks like to be in direct impact of where they think that I might go. So, but thoughts and prayers, and just be safe. Be safe out there.
If I know anything about hurricanes, I know nobody knows anything. The weather, man,
right.
Everybody's guessing, man. So
It's all a guess.
yeah, just prepare yourself as much as you can. This is this week 1 tradition. It's like every year we battle in a hurricane and travel. What's it looking like for the people that got to travel to Utah? Like, is that going to affect any Gators trying to get out to the Utes?
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, if you're flying out of Tampa, for sure. Depending on when you're flying out of Orlando, probably. If you're flying out Wednesday from Jacksonville, probably not.
Just leave now.
Sure, easy drive.
If you're in Jacksonville, just leave now.
I don't know. I'm hoping me and Zach leave Tuesday at like 7:40. This time tomorrow, I'll be in the air. Thank you, Delta, for your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, monitor that. Obviously, it's an odd thing that just kind of happened out of nowhere. A couple of days ago, we weren't really talking about any storms, and here we are. It's kind of crazy how quickly 3 or 4 days can impact that. But Tampa, I would imagine, will not be flyable all day tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and I would imagine that Wednesday will probably be a similar circumstance as well. So just monitor your flights if you're going out there. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't impact the crowd too much. But obviously our thoughts are with those to make sure that safety is the number one priority.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get into the show a little bit. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit that little thumbs up button. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at Allen Horn Insurance. Give him a call. 706-692-2888 if you are looking for any type of policy, whether it be automotive, home, property, business insurance, whatever it might be. AlanHornInsurance.com, 706-692-2888 or AlanHornInsurance.com. Nick, you had been hanging it over our heads for about 3 weeks that you had watched the Swamp Kings documentary. We asked you to give us a Netflix login. You didn't. Last Tuesday, we got to see the unveiling of Untold Swamp Kings, just a 3-hour PR puff piece for the University of Florida. Gentlemen, want to get your thoughts on the game, or on the documentary about the Florida Gators 2005 to 2010 season.
I enjoyed the fluff piece. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a few things that I didn't like. I thought should have been more involvement. I would have liked there to be more involvement. I don't know everybody's situation because everybody has their reasons for, being involved or not being involved. But I would like to see some more Percy, some Chris Leak, more Reggie Nelson, a little bit more of Zook exiting. So I think there were some pieces of the story I liked. Not angry that it wasn't, a 30 for 30 Miami piece that was embarrassing. We all, I know media, everybody wants a full-fledged, tell all. I'm glad we didn't get that. Just not the right timing for that. But the right timing for a recruiting fluff piece to remind people of the greatness at that time, because some of these kids weren't, alive or even aware at that time, if they were, of Tim Tebow and what was going on. So I thought it was an overall great fluff piece. Brandon Seiler and Brandon Spikes were just two leaders, man, leader of men at that position. So I thought that was good for them to highlight that situation. But I have no quarrels. I like it. Just more I would like to see from some former players, but even the Pouncey twins. But outside of that, I'm cool.
We'll talk about a few of those. I want to get your thoughts, Nick. I know you wrote an article about it. If you didn't read it, go check it out on 3. Give us your perception.
Yeah, I wondered if Percy, they were in negotiations with Percy. I think when he found out that some money was exchanging hands, he asked for money to be exchanged into his hands, and they didn't find a number. I wonder if they just penalized the guys that didn't want to be interviewed. How do you not talk more about Percy Harvin for that team? How do you not talk more about a bunch of the guys? I mean, Dallas Baker, not really mentioned. He was just a touchdown dude. There were a bunch of guys.
He was interviewed.
I don't think the Pouncey twins are ever going to get in there because, I mean, for as many years as this has been rumored, up until it released or up until I saw it, I'm wondering, is this going to be a hit piece? Because it could easily be. The director did not go that way. It should be great for Florida recruiting. I think some of these kids that Florida's recruiting right now know Tim Tebow, but probably as the guy that's on game day or on SEC Network, not as the guy that won the Heisman Trophy and 2 championships at Florida. And that sounds crazy to Florida fans, but a 16-year-old kid from Louisiana doesn't really know Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was a professional baseball player by the time he started watching, college football. So I think it's good for Florida recruiting. I think it's good for the current team. Hey, some of the stuff they did was psychotic, but that's what it took to have that level of success on the field. Now, I don't know if you can run a program like that anymore. I don't know what Georgia's doing or what Alabama's doing, but that transfer portal looks real nice. Would Brandon Spikes have made it to his junior year if the transfer portal was a thing? He's in there saying, I came here to play football. These guys are training like they're going to war. I wasn't about that. I don't know if a freshman, sophomore Brandon Spikes, if the transfer portal was available, if he would have just been yo, these workouts suck. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought you make a couple salient points there, Nick. We'll talk about a few of those here. I thought overall, I guess the biggest thing that I want to kind of highlight is there's been a lot of folks on Barstool that are pretty butthurt A few others that thought this was going to be a hit piece, right? And I think that's you kind of ascribing whatever you thought it would be or could be to what it actually was. And I think that if you look back on the whole thing, you look from what they said in the preview for the documentary, when they put out the frequently asked questions about the documentary. Hey, you wanted stuff about Aaron Hernandez? Hey, there's an entire other documentary about Aaron Hernandez. All of these things. And instead of realizing what it was, and that was during the time from 2005 to 2010, the Florida Gators were the most dominant team in college football at the height of college football's popularity, right? So all of those things kind of coalescing into one another makes it funny to me how upset and for how long rival fan bases watched this documentary expecting this to be a hit piece on the Gators. And, reality, they made us look fantastic. Made the Florida Gators look fantastic. The entire program looked great. I love the way that they portrayed the Gators during that time. It was hard-nosed, hard football. Was there a little bit of an Urban Meyer redemption story? Sure, maybe. Was Tim Tebow a little bit behind, maybe pulling some of the strings? Sure. But, would I have liked to see other players? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it was a good fluff piece for 3 hours. And if you thought it was going to be something different, then, that's on you. And that's on Barstool Sports. You figure it out. You want more information about the Gators from that time? You can do your own research. Google's free, as Soap would say.
It is free. I do think the competition level of what Urban Meyer had is still something that's achievable. I think you can't be as hardcore as he was back then, but I think at the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Bamas, there's still a level of competition and from a work ethic standpoint, the workouts. And I think we see with our staff, and I'm pretty sure staffs around the country do the same thing with finding those competitions, doing workouts, and they track points and all of that stuff. But you just got to make it super competitive. That's what the Swamp Kings during that era, they just competed with absolute everything, Some of the stuff that Urban Meyer did was super toxic and wouldn't be allowed these days. Shout out to Ahmad. Ahmad was on the show as well. And some of like the things he said about Ahmad and feeding his kings and then his pieces of shit. Like some of that stuff wouldn't fly these days. But the level of competition is what you got to find. And I hope our players was watching that. People around the program just to see the level of competition, how much they wanted to win. And sometimes you got to go to the extreme to win. You got to push your body to those extremes. Those mat drills were insane.
Bro, that was just a fight.
Yeah.
That was just that. There was no football training there. That was just like, hey, who's going to be tougher? Who's the bigger man here? You're telling a bunch of 18 to 21-year-old kids, who's the bigger man? Is he gonna get to the other side of the mat? I mean, you got rear naked choke, elbows flying. I think Tate Casey said there were 2 rules, like there's no biting and there's no groin shots. Other than that, you boys go out there and have fun. Mickey Marotti's in some dude's face yelling, "You're faking it." Then he's throwing up in his arms. Mickey just walks away. He's all right. I guess he wasn't faking it. On to the next one. On to the next one.
I'll say this. I think one of the things that I was pretty surprised about was the way that they painted Chris Leak. Didn't like that. Chris Leak probably, again, not the most perfect quarterback for Urban Meyer's system, but still, 12,000 passing yards in his career. Led Florida to a national championship his senior year, Urban Meyer's second year at Florida. Yes, Tim Tebow helped. Yes, they might not have done it without Tim Tebow, but I thought that they made Chris Leak and the way that they talked about him being, one quarterback away. And that's all that this team was missing. I thought that was a little probably not the way that I would have done it. But more importantly, the way that they painted Tim Tebow as this under-the-radar recruit that Urban Meyer had to be told at the Jacksonville airport about. I'm like, if you had to be told about Tim Tebow at the Jacksonville airport, Urban, you aren't doing your job.
Well, listen, if Urban Meyer doesn't land Tim Tebow, this isn't a documentary. Right. But also, Tim Tebow's hype as a freshman was significantly bigger than his role on the team. Like, his role on the team was short yardage back as a freshman. Like, that was Chris Leak's team. Chris Leak led Florida to that 2006 national championship. People might have been screaming for Tebow, but it was Leak. And also, Leak not having an ego and pouting or throwing a tantrum that, hey, why are you putting this freshman in? Like, I can get a 3rd and 3.
Mhm.
I can do that. They're like, yeah, that's cool, but we have like an actual bulldozer, and we're just going to use that, and then we'll put you back in on 1st and 10. And I wonder if like the off the field stuff that Leak went through, if maybe that's why they didn't want to get him on, but that's also, they didn't want to focus on anything that happened after Florida. So maybe they didn't reach out to Chris Leak, or maybe Chris Leak told them no. But I think they really didn't shine spotlight on people that didn't talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Leak was an absolute professional the way he handled himself at Florida, man. The production is there. Like, I don't know if you sleep under a rock. There should be more praise to him for his time and his legacy at UF. But the numbers speak for themselves. And if you went to a game during those times, he dealt with some shit. Like, he went through a lot. He never lost his mind. He never lashed out at the fans. We seen the Felipe Franks and these other quarterbacks come through after him, and they couldn't handle that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure that comes with being a University of Florida quarterback, and Chris Leak handled it like an absolute G.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's a national champion. And I'm with you. It should have been more put on. He was the number 1 player in the country coming out of high school, just like Tim Tebow. So he was very important to the leadership and the transition from Zook to Urban as well.
Yeah, they did mention that Florida wasn't recruiting very well, and I hearkened back to, I think Florida had the number 1 recruiting class in 2003, the number 4 or 5 class in 2004. So it's not. Let's not think that we were recruiting in the 20s.
I think what they meant was once a certain Daniel Thompson got onto the recruiting staff, things really
that's what they left out.
Yeah,
they
then when I left,
why was Dan not interviewed for this?
I'm telling you what,
man.
Nick. I like your directing style here.
Atrocious.
There is a writer's strike in LA right now, so they're going to probably be going pretty documentary forward in the next couple months, couple years.
Yeah.
I'm all down for my tell-all.
What do you think about Cam Newton? He did a little, I think it was TikTok or something. Said he never got a ring.
Bro, you weren't supposed to get no ring.
Yeah, Cam Newton left in November.
Come on. You supposed to get a ring?
There's
a lot of gripes, bro. Cam don't have a gripe, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
You steal a laptop, get kid out of school, and you think you deserve a ring. Talk about entitlement.
Yeah. Come on.
You got one from Auburn?
He won a national championship and played in the game.
He got one from Blinton, too, probably.
He probably did.
Shout out to that. He earned both of those.
Yeah. Tell his dad to buy him one. He has some money. Let's see. I thought Brandon Seiler was the
star of the show.
Star of the show.
Star of the show.
The story of him showing up to a party where he thought he was big dog on campus, and some girl goes, "Oh, you're that guy." Like, yeah, I'm that guy. Oh, you're the guy that came with Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Get out of my face. My favorite story was like Urban Meyer being like, I don't like this. This is my guy. This is the toughest guy on the team. He loves these workouts. He's eating iron, like loves being in the gym. This is a great culture guy. But then he's drinking an 18-pack after that workout. He's going straight from midnight workout to Gator beverage. And Urban's like, I'm getting his parents in here. Little did Urban know. Seiler's giggling, like, wait till he meets my parents.
Yeah.
And that story just ends with Urban giving him a hug, being like, hey, man, you just keep keeping on, Brandon. You keep keeping on, buddy.
I was hoping to see a little bit more about Reggie Nelson. Saw some B-roll of some other players that you wish you would have seen a little bit more of. But overall, I thought the documentary was good. Nothing groundbreaking for Gator fans. Really cool interviews. Really cool behind the scenes look into the Gators program during that time. Urban Meyer's redemption story. Still trying to get into that Ring of Fame?
Ring of Honor.
He'll
be in it.
I'll get into the Ring of Fame if there's
Ring of Fame, Ring of Honor.
Urban Meyer will be. Florida has gauged the temperature of the fan base. Urban, has gone. I think they brought him back to a game. They're gauging the temperature of the fan base. Urban Meyer will get into the Ring of Honor at some point.
Urban Meyer was doing this whole documentary while he was employed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You see the bridge in the background, just vibing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why we couldn't win no damn games. Herb was trying to get his whole documentary thing off.
Does
Listen,
Herb still live in Jacksonville?
I don't know, but
Where
he was
you think,
kicking
Dan?
it out.
Would you still live there, Dan?
No.
Well, what the other option's Ohio.
No, the other option's anywhere, bro. He's rich.
That's true. That's true.
The other option's the whole world.
I'll never forget. I made Jacksonville Twitter mad one day. I said something about having to live in Jacksonville, about Urban Meyer and Derek Tyson and a few other people were showing all of these very random, highly photoshopped pictures of Jackson. I'm like, just relax, people. I didn't like. It's not actually the armpit of America. It's all a bit. The place sucks, but anyway.
But New Jersey's obviously the armpit of America.
New Jersey, dude,
probably
Ohio's
Arkansas,
bad, man. No
Mississippi.
offense, if you live in Ohio, man, God bless your heart. You know,
Ohio got to be better than Arkansas.
Say what?
So Ohio got to be better than Arkansas.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. It's going to be a tough one. We have a lot of back and forth there. All right, gentlemen, let's get we've got a stay tuned, by the way. We might not be done with our Swamp Kings discussion over the next few weeks. In the comments, please put your comments on the show. For instance, this is a good one. Florida native 75, born and raised in Jacks. It sucked. That's a good comment.
Yeah, Dan's got control of what gets highlighted.
Yeah. ESPN 30 for 30, Jacksonville Life, Wallets, and Hairline, the Dan Tompkins story.
There it is, and that's a story.
Tompkins. And apparently Billy Napier's favorite band is Coldplay. If you followed or muted Brett McMurphy over the last few weeks from the Action Network, you'll know that he's been doing this match game where
had to mute him.
Yeah, where coaches had to put who their favorite artist was, and apparently Billy Napier's favorite band is Coldplay. Do you guys know who Lane Kiffin's favorite musical artist is?
Morgan Wallen.
Taylor Swift.
Smart. Yeah, I mean, listen.
Yep.
I'm not going to get in heat with the Swifties here. That's just a smart answer.
Yeah, this is a podcast that's all about the love and admiration that Taylor Swift gives to us as well.
Songbird of our generation.
Songbird of our generation.
Won't say a single cross word about Taylor Swift.
Yep.
They'll come for you, Silk. Watch out.
No, I'm vibing. I'm vibing.
Yeah. We are not beefing with that fan base. Well, we have Josh Furlong joining us, but before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at the Gataverse. Go visit them, Gataverse.io, GATAVERSE.io. It is one of the best ways that you can go and support the Florida Gators through NIL. They do have a Trevor Etienne NIL card that you can go and buy. They also have discounts locally in the Gainesville area when you go shop and travel to Gainesville. They are going to be unleashing a few new cards and a few new opportunities for you to support NIL as well over the next few weeks, including if a player gets a touchdown, maybe there is going to be a discount or a free item at a restaurant in Gainesville. So take a look. Go support Gataverse.io. Go support Florida Gator Athletics. And with that, we welcome Josh Furlong from KSL News. Josh, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Good.
Doing well. Looking forward to getting out to Salt Lake. At the end of this, I'll make sure I get some recommendations from you. But just to confirm for Gator fans, there is alcohol in the state of Utah.
Yes, there's definitely alcohol in the state of Utah. They don't always make it easy, but there is alcohol in the state.
Coming from the South, that's football and alcohol are kind of twins. They go together.
Yeah.
I think it's an America thing.
Okay.
Josh,
God bless America.
For sure.
Josh, talk to us a little bit. We're just a couple days away. Right now, Floridians are dealing with a hurricane. Can you assure us that there's no hurricane coming to Utah as well?
I can definitely assure you there's no hurricane. So the most you'll get is altitude. You'll get some dry heat, so it's going to dry you out a little bit when you're up here. But there's definitely nothing like that. So assuming that everything stays the course, we're okay.
All right, we're all good. So, Josh, we're just a few days away from the season kicking off for both programs Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Mountain time. Cam Rising is the biggest question. Looks like he's going to play. Depth chart came out. He's on there. Touch us a little bit about what you know about Cam Rising.
Yeah, they haven't officially said anything yet, so I'd take the depth chart with a grain of salt right now. Kyle Whittingham will speak to the media today, so we'll get some better understanding of that. But my guess is they're going to try to take it as a game time decision, whether he's available or not. That we probably won't find out till Thursday around 5:00. But this is a situation where Cam Rising, he suffered an ACL injury in January. The typical timeline, obviously, at least 9 months is what most people expect based on what's happened. He's always been on pace. There hasn't been a setback by any means, but it's just been a time crunch trying to get him available for this game. It's shorter than 9 months, so whether he's fully cleared or fully healthy remains to be seen. There's been heated conversation of who his backup is, whether it's Bryson Barnes or Nate Johnson. So honestly, we could see one of three quarterbacks on Thursday, and I don't think it would be surprising to anybody out here. But it is a little frustrating to people trying to figure out how that is, because everybody wants to see Cam Rising, and Cam obviously wants to come back after throwing that interception against Florida in the season opener. So, he's going to push as much as he can to be able to get there.
I've been tickled by Kyle Whittingham. I think it was at Pac-12 Media Day saying, listen, if he's not cleared 10 to 14 days before, then he's not going to go. And then last week he tells you guys, it might be 10 to 14 minutes before the game. Cam Rising is, when healthy, a top 10 quarterback in the country. So replacing that, there's not many teams in the country that can replace a top 10 quarterback. Could we see Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson if Cam can't go? Is there a way to get both of them in the game and you kind of use Nate's athletic ability and give Florida two different looks?
Yeah, so I've kind of waffled on this as the season or the off season has progressed. I've as of last week, I was thinking that Nate Johnson was probably going to be the guy that they put if Cam wasn't available, just purely on upside. He doesn't have a command of the offense as much as maybe Bryson Barnes does, because he's been the backup quarterback for the last 3 years. But there's a much higher upside with Nate Johnson. So, I've now come to the point where I think the betting favorite is probably Bryson Barnes, just from the safety standpoint. He's not going to have a high upside, but he's also not going to make as many mistakes as Nate Johnson. But I still think there's a scenario where both of those guys get on the field. Nate Johnson last year was used in several red zone packages. They wanted to utilize his speed. He's a fantastic rusher off the edge. His first 2 touches last year as quarterback went for touchdowns. So I think they see something there with him, whether it is as an actual quarterback or in maybe more of like a wildcat type scenario where he has these designed runs. That's kind of what I would expect. Is Bryson gets that start, Nate Johnson maybe gets thrown in there every once in a while. But this is a fluid situation, right? Like if one of those quarterbacks isn't performing well, I can't imagine Kyle Whittingham sticking with it and just saying, he's our guy. This isn't a scenario where you're trying to work through the kinks with a starting quarterback. This is a backup, right? There's no need to stick with it. So I still think one of those guys will probably get the bulk of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see 2 of them if Cam's not available.
I checked out Bryson Barnes in the bowl game after Cam went down. What's the ceiling for him, and what does he mean to the program?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's a walk-on player, so he's been busting his butt to be able to stay competitive. He's not getting the same opportunities in terms of financial compensation and everything as a lot of these guys. He still has a full-time job so that he can do this, and yet he still keeps coming in and he's trying to win this job, and he continually does it. Like there's something about him that gives Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, confidence in him that allows him to be that backup guy, right? And maybe that's something to say about his backups, and they haven't recruited well in terms of quarterback depth. But this is a guy that he's not going to have your higher upside. Like I think he's probably a great starter at a G5 school or maybe even a lower division, but I don't know that he is a Power 5 quarterback in long-term range, right? The one thing I will say, I will caution people is, we've only seen Bryson Barnes in scenarios where he hasn't had the game plan, established for him. He's had several instances where he's come in as the backup. There was one game last year he started, but Cam Rising was a scratch 10 minutes before. We're talking about 10 minutes again. He was a scratch 10 minutes before a game, and Bryson Barnes was thrown into the mix. So it's one of those things where we don't fully know what his ceiling is. They obviously love his arm strength. They love his command of the offense and his ability to be able to control it. Does he make some great mistakes? Yes, he does. Like there's some things that, you probably shouldn't do, but at the same time, he's also not going to make these big things that maybe these freshman quarterbacks are going to do. So it's more of just a controlled game manager type offense under Bryson Barnes. You might get a shot downfield. The crazy thing is last year against Washington State, Utah was in this locked up battle, and they're coming to blows. And Bryson Barnes had probably one of the best passes of the season for Utah last year. He got them into field goal range and got them into a scenario where they could win. But it's you're not going to see that as much. I think he has the ability. It's just not going to be that prevalent.
I want to ask you about defense real quick. I know that there's a lot of changes. Clark Phillips III has gone to the NFL. I know that you had your other safety leave the program. A number of other players that were on that veteran defense last year have left. Can you talk to us a little bit about what Utah's defense looks like this year?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, Clark Phillips, he's probably the biggest impact player that has gone from there. Mahmoud Diabate, which you guys are familiar with, he obviously left the program after graduating. But those are probably your two biggest players that left. Beyond that, they bring back a majority of their defense. They have a lot of the consistency and depth that they have there. They bring in Miles Battle from Ole Miss to be a longer corner than what even Clark Phillips was. They bring in Levani Damuni, who was Stanford's leading tackler and just an overall impressive linebacker. So I think you've got a similar team as what you got last year. Maybe a little less veteran experience in terms of corner positions, but you've got guys that have been in the background that have been doing well. But now you've got, depth all around. I think you've got a team that is more experienced and better going into this game than they were last year. Utah was not at all pleased with how they performed against Florida last year, where they missed 29 tackles. At least that's the number that they've put on it. They feel like they have a better handle of the situation. Last year, they didn't really they weren't physical as much as they wanted to be in fall camp. This year, they've been much more physical. They want to make sure that they attack it, that they don't allow what happened at Florida last year, where they were just soft. That's what Kyle Whittingham called it, a soft defense, where they just gave up way too many tackles. And obviously Anthony Richardson and ETN is going to be a big factor in that. But I think this is a situation where I think they feel much more confident in their ability on defense. They've got some guys that are up to full steam. Sione Vaki fills that safety room. He came on late as of last year, and a lot of them think he's arguably one of the best players on that defensive side of the ball. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do, until it actually happens and we get to see it. It's hard to say what they're going to be, but at least on paper, I think they're a better team.
I got to call Silk out last year. We talked to your coworker now, Josh Newman, and we were talking about Brant Keithy. When Silk found out that he was like 6'2", he said, "Who is this midget? What do you mean he's going to do anything against Florida?" And I said, "Listen, watch out." Now, obviously, we're not doctors, and I don't know the extent of Brant's knee injury, but I think I've heard Kyle Whittingham say they're kind of on the same timetable. Florida has had trouble covering tight ends, certainly had trouble covering Brant last year. Where is he in terms of his recovery, and will he be able to play Thursday?
Yeah, like you mentioned, he's been questionable as well going into this game. And I think more questionable simply because, he's in a position where he has to be more shifty. He's got to be able to have a lot more lateral movement than Cam does. And so I think either they're playing it really cautious where he's a proven guy, so they don't need him out on the field in fall camp as much. So it's a question as to, what availability has he had? He's been in pads, he's been available, but he's also been much more limited in camp. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play or if he gets limited reps. But the thing is, Utah has built out this tight end room where they've done a good job of trying to find guys. Thomas Yasman came on last year, and he and Dalton Kincaid, which didn't have much of an impact against you guys last year, but Thomas Yasmin's a former rugby player, professional rugby player from Australia. He's got great hands. He's gotten a lot of confidence now. He's a bigger body than even Brant Keithy. So he's another guy that can be a weapon there, and they've got a couple guys in the background. But if Brant's not available to go, that definitely hurts Utah's ability on offense. I think they've schemed better to be able to be more diverse, where they're hopefully getting more on the outside is what their dream is. But Brant Keithy, if he's on that field, yeah, he's definitely going to be a weapon, and it's somebody that Florida's going to have to pay attention to. But like I mentioned, Thomas Yasmin is another guy that probably has the ability to be able to take over from there.
And both of those guys too are veterans, seniors. So it's not like you're missing install or hey, you need to learn this stuff. It's like, hey, you just need to get these guys if you can healthy to Thursday.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like even with Cam, right? Like that's why they say they feel comfortable with 10 minutes before game time. Cam's been going through everything. Brant's been going through everything. It's just a matter of actual playability, and so that's kind of where they're at.
Y'all better pray for him. Y'all send him out there. He ain't ready, Josh. How do you feel about Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle, the freshman, playing in a big game one like this? Now I feel real good about our defensive line. So I want to see the confidence level of the true freshman lining up over there.
Yeah, that's the key battle that I'm actually really most interested in, is because there was a guy there, Falcon Kamatule, who was kind of cemented in as the left tackle. We heard a lot of good things about him. He was working really well last year and had some really good opportunities. And then all of a sudden, Spencer Fano comes into the room. He came here in spring to kind of get some extra experience into the system. And, by all accounts, he's performed admirably. I mean, the fact that you can have a freshman come in, especially at a left tackle position and beat out a veteran player says a lot. So, it's the first game. You're going to get a little bit crazy into your first collegiate experience. You're going up against an SEC team with a great defensive line. I'm curious to see what happens there. I wouldn't be surprised if Harding, their offensive line coach, shifts him out every once in a while. But the fact that they're putting him there shows me that they have confidence, right? They really believe in Spencer Fano. He's got some talent. He's got some ability there. He was the #1 recruit in the state of Utah. So I think they have a lot of optimism there. It's just a question of when those bright lights come on, what happens. He's done well against a good defensive line that, runs the pack every single year. They dominate. So it's not like he's not getting experience. Whether it's the same experience as Florida, we'll see. But I think they have enough confidence in him that they feel comfortable with him at left tackle, which says a lot given his ability there.
You said runs the pack. I just wanted to make sure rest in peace.
RIP, yes.
How do you think this is going to be a run-heavy team if Cam doesn't go? How much does the game plan change? I know you spoke about it a little earlier, and I know Utah's run game is something that they're going to lean on regardless. But what do you see the pass to run ratio being if Cam Rising isn't playing?
Yeah, if he's not playing, I think it probably is more in favor of a run-heavy offense. Utah's always tried, or at least the last few years, they've tried to be closer to 50-50. It's probably still at least 60-40 most of the time. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if it gets closer to 65-70% where it's schemed to the run. Now that'll obviously change depending on what Florida presents, right? If they load that box and force Utah to throw, maybe you see something different depending on the quarterback as well. But this is a room where they have a lot of talent. They've got at least 4 guys with veteran experience. Jaquindon Jackson, who is a converted quarterback to running back. He's expected to kind of be their workhorse guy. He's a big body. He was more learning the system of how a running back sees it instead of quarterback. So I'm curious to see how that works, but they've got enough guys in different capacities where, one is an off-speed guy or one is, the guy that's the workhorse back. I think they have enough talent there that they can lock in on the run game. I think that's going to be what they do, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if they try to keep it still 50-50 regardless of Rising being available.
What are other things that you guys in Utah are looking at about this Florida Gators team? Obviously, a new quarterback, number of new starters on defense, and a number of transition players have moved in and out of the Gators program over the last year or so. Obviously, Florida, won last year, ends up going 6-7. Utah loses and still wins the Pac-12. So obviously, kind of a tale of 2 different seasons there. Now we have a completely new Gators team for the most part coming into Salt Lake City. What are some things that the fan base is talking about over in Salt Lake City about this Gators team?
I think a lot of what you're seeing is more just what the defense can do. You don't obviously have Anthony Richardson anymore, and that's a complete game changer at quarterback. As somebody that was just dynamic that Utah quite honestly just didn't have an answer for. I think they feel more confident in Graham Mertz, whether he's a great passer or not. What we've seen at Wisconsin, I think they feel confident in their ability to be able to negate that. It's more now how do they stop the run game with ETN, and I'm blanking on your other back there, but
Montrell Johnson.
That's right. I think they feel confident in their ability on defense, and I think that's where their focus is, right? Like beyond Cam Rising, that's going to be their biggest concern and everything there. I still think they're going into this game. It's can Utah's defense do a much better job and not look soft against Florida, right? They're not going to give up 29 tackles. That's their hope. Now, last year, also going into this game, I think they kind of bought into a little bit of their own hype. There was a lot of conversations around the program of like, hey, maybe they're a playoff team. And whether that was a reality or not, remains, that can be debatable. But I think this year they're going into it maybe a little, underlooked, you could say. Not a lot of people expect them to be as good as last year. And so I think there's a lot more ease and comfortability, if that's even a word at this point. They come into this with, knowing what happened at Florida, feeling like they had that opportunity, knowing that they had the opportunity, obviously at the goal line, and feeling like now, okay, they're at our home, with or without Cam Rising, they feel confident, right? Now that's fan stuff, right? Like everybody's going to feel confident in their team on the first game of the season, especially after all the hype that you hear in fall camp and stuff. But I really think they feel like their defense has made some corrections. They feel more optimistic about the ability to be able to have the depth where they need to. Obviously, not having Anthony Richardson to go up against really helps. So I think it's a scenario where Utah just feels confident going into this, but it's kind of like that cautious optimism, knowing that Florida is still a good team. They're going to be a different team. They've got dudes like anybody else, if not better than a lot of the teams that they face. And so it's just kind of that cautious optimism.
What were I was looking at first. I picked a terrible picture for my tweet today. I didn't even notice the construction on Rice Eccles Stadium, but I was trying to get a picture of the mountains. We've heard a lot of fans this week, Utah fans, talking about it's hot. I don't think it's definitely a different heat than what we have here. And I've already shamed you and Josh Newman for not bringing up the elevation enough after how much we talked about the humidity last year. What is that game day atmosphere like? And you were down in Gainesville last year. How does that compare to the Swamp and what Florida will face and what Florida fans will see at Rice Eccles?
Yeah, I think it's different, right? Like you mentioned, I think, the dry heat is something that kind of takes people by surprise, but it's different. It's not like you step off the plane in humidity and, it kind of suffocates you. This is just more you dry out. There's a lot of you need a lot of liquid to be able to keep you, hydrated. The elevation will play a factor. I don't know if it's going to play that much of a factor. If anything, it's more late in the game after guys have been running around a lot. But even the way that the game's changed with the new clock management, I don't know if that's going to change it, right? Like guys could be on the field for a long time or not. So we'll see what happens there. But in terms of the game day environment, Utah has a decent tailgating scene. I mean, they've done a good job of being able to build that up and, kind of kitty corner to where the stadium is. It's not what Florida, is expecting with like SEC country and the tailgating there. The West just doesn't tailgate the same. Utah tries, they do a good job of it, but it's not the same. So there's opportunities to be had. I know there's a lot of people that go out there. They're very friendly and welcoming. And, if you want to go get, food or drinks or whatever, they'll have you. No questions asked. This isn't a hostile territory by any means. But it's going to be different, right? Like you're not able to buy alcohol in the stadium. So that's one thing that you're going to have to plan ahead for. You'll have to get a little bit of that beforehand. But it's a good environment. It's a beautiful environment. It's a smaller stadium than what the Swamp is, but it's loud. The way that they have the mountains there and everything, it just kind of creates this atmosphere where it can be really loud and it can stay engaged in the game. And it's a fun environment that, out here, at least in the West, it's one of the best environments for teams to come. A lot of teams will say that this is one of the most hostile places that they play in the West. It'll be different for sure than SEC country and what you guys are going to experience on a day-to-day basis. But it's a fun environment, and it's the first game of the season, so you can't be upset with that.
I got one last question for you. I wanted to ask you this earlier. What's your opinion on Kyle Whittingham having such a physical camp with the injury going on with Cam Rising? He ended up losing, I think his name's Brandon Rose, who was the original number 2 quarterback in the scrimmage. What's your opinion on him having such a physical camp? I know you said because of last year and how soft they came in, but what do you think?
Yeah, for the last few years, he's kind of tried to dial it back and maybe make it a little bit, 50-50, trying to make it physical, but not. This year, especially with the quarterbacks, he wanted to make sure that he had guys that could be proven, right? You don't go into that Florida game expecting to have a freshman run or a quarterback that has never taken a hit before. So I think they felt like they needed to have a physical practice. I know on defense, they felt like they needed to have that to make sure that guys were, tackling through a guy. They weren't just like stopping and giving up. And obviously that was a problem. So I think it's partially the opponent, right? Like Kyle generally doesn't want to harm his players that way, and he's dialed it back. He's old school guy where he used to be physical all the time. They would get banged up. They didn't have the depth to be able to do it, and so then Utah's season would kind of suffer from that. Now he's gotten the depth, so he kind of pulled back a little bit, felt like he could do it. But I think he saw last year that they overcorrected too much. And so, they feel like they needed to get that. On the surface, I know a lot of fans out here were really frustrated with that. You look at Brandon Rose, who was fighting for that number 2 spot. They were frustrated that they were that physical, but I think his logic makes sense. You can't go into that game not having had that experience and not having that pressure. So, it sucks for them that they don't have that guy. And who knows if he ultimately would have won the backup spot, but I think it's a situation where they feel like they had to.
Utah's defense. Go ahead, so.
No, my bad. I just wanted our fans to hear that we lost 2 guys in camp as well, and there was some fans, questioning the physicality of camp. We lost Justin Spoon, defensive end, and Cam Carroll, third running back on the depth chart. What up, Nick?
Utah's defense looks so much better in late October and in November than they did against Florida, and I think that's just where football is now, with only thudding in practice or only wrapping up in practice. There's no way to simulate game speed and tackling game speed. And I think you see it across the country with really poor tackling, definitely early on in the year, and you can roll those foam donuts on the field for 12 hours a day and have guys tackle those. It's not the same as trying to tackle a real person. So I think there's a give and take. If you're trying to protect concussions and not get guys injured, you're going to have the other end of the spectrum where maybe the first 4 games your guys aren't tackling well. But Kyle Whittingham's been there. Going back to Swamp Kings, Kyle Whittingham took over when Swamp Kings started. Kyle Whittingham has been there. I've covered 4 different Florida coaches, and Kyle Whittingham's been there. So I get the frustration because you lose a guy who a lot of people probably viewed as, well, if Cam can't go, this will be the starter. But then you'll have a bunch of people asking, why weren't you tackling if you have 30 missed tackles on Thursday? So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't in that position.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, I think they weighed it and they just said, this is what matters the most. We want to be a physical team. That's the MO of a Kyle Whittingham-led team. He wants to be physical. He wants to dominate. He wants to own that. So, I don't think they wanted to be as banged up as they have been coming out of fall camp, and they've gotten a lot of those guys back. But it was the alternative was what happened last year against Florida. And quite honestly, Florida made a lot of those things happen. But it's at least negating a lot of what that was, because Utah doesn't play like that. They're not usually like that. And you saw that last year where it took them 4 or 5 games into the season before they felt like they could actually get into a defensive system that resembled somewhat of that. Some of that was Diabate coming in and trying to learn the system, and it's a different system than what Florida was running. So I think there was a lot of just things going against him. You had a new position coach that was helping in there. Now you've got a lot more consistency. And so I think they felt more comfortable with that, knowing that guys can finish their tackles, they can go in there, and they can actually be aggressive.
Josh,
real quick, shout out to Mahmoud, friend of the show, former guest of the show. Hope he makes that Browns roster.
Thanks, Nick. Josh, want to ask about skill players. Obviously, Brent Keithy's a guy that we should to be on the lookout for. Should he play in this game? Wide receivers, running backs. What should Florida fans be expecting there?
Yeah, Jaquindon Jackson at running back obviously is the guy that I mentioned earlier. He's a guy you're going to want to pay attention to. He's got some skill and natural talent that is undeniable, and so I'm curious to see what happens. He came on as of late last year, but I'm curious to see Micah Pittman, former Florida State wide receiver, what he's able to do to this offense. He's right now in a battle for one of the positions as a starter with a freshman in Mikey Matthews. Mikey Matthews is one of those guys that, if Florida fans have been familiar with Utah in the last few years, which, that may vary, they had a player called Britton Covey. He was a pretty shifty and he escaped a ton. They kind of see Mikey Matthews as a similar prototype to him and just being able to be that Swiss Army knife guy that can kind of do a lot of things. So, they feel like they have some guys on the outside this year that can be a little bit more dynamic. They still have proven guys in Devon Vele and Money Parks. Money Parks is a great name.
It's a great name.
Name team. So, I mean, it's not Kool-Aid McKinstry, but, we'll take it. But I think they've got some guys that they're optimistic about, but especially on wide receiver, I think out here there's a lot of maybe caution. They want to see it happen first, right? Utah hasn't always been that explosive on the outside. They've done really well at running back. They know that they can get guys there. If Kyle Whittingham believes in Jaquindon Jackson, that usually means something. But now they've got to be able to take that to the outside of even tight ends, right? Like they've got to be able to have some more explosive guys. So Micah Pittman's kind of the guy that they're kind of looking at, as well as Mikey Matthews. Can those two guys establish themselves? And then what about the veteran players? So that's probably the skills guys. Those are probably the ones to watch. But there's some newcomers that I'm curious to see as they go in.
Should be a good game Thursday night in beautiful Salt Lake City. We have a lot of listeners that are going to be out there for the first time. I've been fortunate enough to be out. Nick will be there, so make sure you guys hang out. I've been to Salt Lake City a few times to go skiing up in Park City, but there's some rules. There's some differences in Utah than there might be in Florida in terms of alcohol, restaurants, bars, those kind of things. So why don't you give folks a little bit of the lay of the land, what they should expect, and give them a little, 30-second Salt Lake City blurb.
Yeah, you're a tour guide as well, Josh.
I'm probably the worst one because I don't drink, so I'm not a great asset for that. But I do know that the laws are different. The alcohol levels are lower than most places, and so you're probably going to have to drink more to be able to get the same type of buzz.
A problem.
Exactly. And they'll take your money, so it's good. But no, there's opportunities here. It's not like this is it's scarce. They've got opportunities. There's a lot of bars. There's a lot of different places that will serve some good alcohol. There's actually a great craft breweries around here that there's some really good opportunities here that I know a lot of people enjoy. So that's an area where you can get some alcohol. You can have some fun. It's not going to be the same, right? Like it's going to be different. But there's availability. You're going to have to be able to have it before you get into the game. So you're going to have to either sober up or be sober going into the game. So maybe you celebrate afterward or whatever that may be. But being Thursday night, I don't know that that's going to be a hopping place in Salt Lake City. So you're probably going to have to bring your own party and have fun there. But no, it's a great environment. There's some great locations there.
Is
I don't know.
Red Iguana still open?
People love Red Iguana, and I'm gonna be the guy that says that it drives me crazy that's the one place that everybody says go to for Utah. So it's good. They've got some good mole if you like mole and all that, and I'll eat there, right? Like it's
what's mole?
It's like a sauce, like a
what? So
hey, bro, I don't know what mole is. You want me to not ask this man? I'm just gonna sit here and act like I know what mole is. I don't know what mole is.
Not everybody knows, Nick.
Jeez,
it's a
I'm pretty sure
sauce. We'll say that.
It's a sauce. Is it like a creamy sauce, tomato based? What is it?
It varies. You can have a bunch. You can have tomato based. You can have. It's not like an Italian. It's not like an Italian. It's very Mexican based with spices and herbs.
Okay.
A little thicker. Yeah.
It's salsa or something.
They'll have like chocolate mole. I mean, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Is Whiskey Street still there?
My understanding is yes. I don't work in Salt Lake much anymore because now.
Okay.
So I work at at home, but I believe that's still there. There's been some transitions and everything. So
downtown Salt Lake's cool. One of my favorite things about Salt Lake City is right there in downtown, as the mountains are like 15 minutes outside of downtown. So it's not like being in Denver where the mountains are an hour and a half away. Right there, it's a really, really, really cool time. So enjoy it. Josh, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and get all the latest updates on the Utah Utes.
yeah, you can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever the heck we're calling it nowadays. Dave for KSL. I'm happy to chat anything. Give some good recommendations if you want that, or just to meet up. It's a great opportunity, and I'm excited for you guys to come out here and see it because it's a fun time. And Thursday night's going to be rocking as we start college football.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thanks. Oh, Josh, before we go, man, we're a little rusty over here. Josh, gotta get a score prediction.
Still in preseason form here.
Jeez, preseason form. We weren't doing full tackles in preseason. So, Josh, what do we got here? Give us a prediction.
I varied on this a lot, but I'm going to go with 24-21 Utah. We'll keep it lower-ish and keep it tight.
All right. Well, Josh, we appreciate your time, my friend. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Man, first off, the comment section is wild.
Yeah, it's in shambles.
You guys are nuts. You guys are bickering. There's all sorts of stuff here.
Somebody called Josh a virgin.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
That's unnecessary.
Yeah, come on.
I thought he had like 4 wives, so to call him a virgin is, that's the way to go with it.
Man, Josh is a good guy.
Josh,
no, he's a great guy.
24-21 seems low scoring. What do you guys? What are your thoughts? Let's break it. You know what?
First off, we've got 200 people watching and 31 have hit the like button.
Oh, we got 170 haters in here, man. Come on, man.
Hit the like button. It helps. Hit the algorithm. Gets the show bigger. And
let's
help spread the show.
Yeah, while you guys are doing that, let's see if there's some big comments. Ladies will not be allowed to wear skirts above their knees. CJ Doherty was wild in the comments.
Yeah, he was in his bag. CJ was in his duffel the entire time, man.
Let's see.
I was trying not to laugh, man.
There's some good ones here. I know that Utah. I know Chris Sorley and Da Vinci were going at it with a Utah Ute fan. About the game overall, but shout out to Josh. Let's break down the game a little bit more. Before we do that, go visit Homefield Apparel, homefieldapparel.com. Right now, they are doing it's a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, pair of sweatpants, some home field koozie, and a fanny pack, all for sale. I think it's $175 all in for those 5 items that they're offering. It's a deep discount, and if you use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout, you get 15% off of your order. So again, about 20 different shirts. They do have that bundle. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. And then shout out to Sriracha, who just liked for the 4 wives. So maybe we can send it to Josh, and all 4 of his wives will like it too. All right. And then we also want to give a shout out to our friend Stone Cold Drip Sauce Tin.
Already.
Smoking that Utah pack all week. That
is a Rick Ross grunt. That's what I named that emoji.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Utah-Florida game here. Guys, give me your thoughts. We'll talk about betting lines. We'll talk about props and all that kind of stuff. But give us your overall thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to if Cam Rising goes or don't go. If he does go, I don't think he's going to be 100%. So I think it's going to come down to our front 7 just stopping the run. I think Brant Kuthi is another thing. If he can't go, I don't know. We should have a big advantage if those guys can go. I know it's next man up, and they got some guys that can play football. I respect Kyle Whittingham's program. It's going to be a battle, so I don't think we're going to come in here and blow anybody out. I know we got some of that in the comments. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. We could run away with it, but it's going to have to be earned. Those guys are not about to lay down. I don't care who's injured. So I think if we can stop the run, we go out there in our front 7 handle business. I like that we can rotate and go more than just we go now 2 and 3 deep and not lose a lot of talent. and there's not a lot of drop off like last year. So like between last year and this year, while I know we lost Anthony Richardson, we also gained, some defenders that Utah didn't see last year, from Taraji Mitchell to the guys with Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks. I think that's where we win this football game at. Our front seven on defense, and then our run game on offense. Not having Mertz. Mertz don't have to sling it around. He just have to be able to hit the playmakers in space. Let those guys do what they do. Not a huge believer of Utah secondary as well. I think we got some guys that can run by them when it pertains to just pure speed. So I think we can sneak up on these boys a little bit, even though they want some revenge and get back from last year. Nobody's expecting the Florida Gators to have the type of football team I think we're going to field. So I feel good with Rising, the status that he's at. If he was 100% healthy, it's a different football game, because
he's a top 10 quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback in the country if he's healthy.
Right.
Which he won't be healthy. Like the timeline, like he simply, I don't see him being the Cam Rising he was last year. And last year he killed Florida with his legs. 91 yards. He's turning the sticks over, turning the chains over. Even if Brant Keithy can't go, I think Josh mentioned him, Thomas Yasmin. He's 6'5", 250. I think 5 of his 6 touchdowns last year were in the last 5 games. That's a matchup nightmare. It's someone that big. You tell me he's from Sydney, Australia. Shout out to Jeremy Crawshaw, former rugby player. That's a tough dude. I think also something we didn't talk about is in home field advantage. It's not just altitude. Utah plays different at home. They've won 14 straight. They've won, I think, 22 of the last 24 at home. Yeah. They average their defense gives up like 2 touchdowns less at home than they did on the road. It's not going to be an SEC atmosphere. Listen, Florida played last year at Neyland. They're going to play this year at Death Valley. Those stadiums seat almost double what they'll play. But there is something to how well Utah has played under Kyle Whittingham, not just last year, going for most of his tenure, how well they play at home.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the Gators are going to be a markedly different team overall, right? Obviously, a new quarterback. The running attack is different from last year as well. You have another year of Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne getting better, and everything that we've seen out of them has been all that's advertised. Obviously, the offensive line has some question marks. Tight ends, wide receivers, the entire offense is just going to look different than last year. But I don't think that the game plan changes. I think that you really try to take advantage of their lack of preparation, or their lack of experience, at safety. You try to make some of those, crossing routes and intermediate throws that hopefully Graham Mertz can make that we weren't able to do last year, right? And yes, Anthony Richardson willed this team to win, and Amari Burden gets the game-winning interception to end the game. But Anthony Richardson certainly wasn't perfect, and that there's a lot of plays and a lot of throws that I'm sure he wishes he had back in that game. So I think that Florida is going to be different on offense this year against this Utah team. I don't think that the Utah team that they're bringing into the Swamp this year is better than the team that they brought in last year. It might be the same. Obviously, if Cam Rising doesn't play, I think it's a worse program. I don't think that Florida, and right now Florida is a 6.5-point underdog. That line has gone up and down over the last few weeks here, but right now I like Florida's chances. I don't know if we'll pick it here in a minute. I don't know if I'm going to pick Florida to win, but I definitely think
MGM Grand is like trying to get like an intern. They're trying to have somebody at the sports book get like a Utah athletics internship to get in on campus. Be like, hey man, we haven't gotten a damn word about Cam Rising. We need to get someone on the inside.
Yeah, the line went down to like 5 and went back up. I think when they dropped the depth chart. They dropped the depth chart, and which is the indication of nothing. Kyle Whittingham's gonna play this game. This strategy is chess. Make Billy Napier and Austin Armstrong prepare for 3 quarterbacks if they have to. Right, just more time taken away from your practice. I get it, but that line is definitely gonna change again. I expect it to go down once it gets a little confirmed that Cam and Brant, if they don't play that line. But I mean, the lines are out the window. They was favored last year, and they caught these hands. So, line, spine, slime, whatever you want to do, man, you got to line up and play football. It's going to come down to some guys that we aren't expecting because this is a new team. So it's going to be some X factors. We're playing a lot of young boys, a lot of freshmen. Who do you think, Nick, could be the X factor on offense that we haven't been talking about? Could just show himself. Pause.
I'm not laughing at you.
Who's opening the kimono, Nick?
I need to get off. I need to get off comments.
No, the comments is booming. Y'all keep beefing in the comments, man. I like it. Zeus is like trying to fight 10 Gator fans at one time, bro. Good luck, bro.
No. Honestly, welcome Zeus and you, Callie. He was down in the public school education. It is a top 5 public university in the country.
Yulee Cal,
Yulee Cal. But shout out to the Utah guys in here. Happy to have you.
Sriracha is ready for payday here, so join us on YouTube. It's a fun time on the YouTube.
YouTube is going crazy. For me, like I don't know that there are X factors in terms of like guys we haven't talked about. I would like to see Arliss Boardingham be an X factor. I think that his size, his weight, I think he's a guy that you can get. Slide him out into the slot. So, a guy that can line up with his hand in the dirt, can motion around, move him around, find creative ways to get him the ball. I think Ricky Pearsall can't ever be an X factor because he's going to be a guy that defenses game plan for all year. So when I think X factor, it's not just who's a guy who can have a big game. It's who's a guy that maybe we don't expect or on a fringe could have a big game. And I want a season X factor to be Eugene Wilson. But is that going to be game 1 on the road against a veteran defense? I don't know.
Why not, baby?
Yeah. Eugene Wilson dropped the 21. Would have loved to see it. I know we said it's egregious, but would have loved to see him.
21. Can you do so? I had that all planned out, man. I had a vibe set up for that one.
You and our boy Velo.
I was singing on the podcast,
Hey, he's Eugene Wilson III. They call him Trey. Now he's wearing Trey. It all makes sense.
I get it.
We like him for 3 touchdowns against Utah.
Oh, of course, Stan. Obviously, Trey.
All right, perfect.
Might as well keep the theme going. X Factor, Dan. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Montreal Johnson. And I'll say that's not really super fair, but I think all of the hype has been around Trevor Etienne all offseason. I think that Montreal Johnson is a very, very capable all SEC caliber running back, and I think that he is going to be the guy that shoulders the most yards and the most touchdowns in this game against Utah. So I'm going to go Montreal Johnson. It's going to be my X factor for this game.
I like that. Those are 2 good ones.
Who you got, Sil?
I'm gonna go I'm gonna go Caleb Douglas. I know the young wide receivers, I expect those guys, but Caleb Douglas has a knack of getting behind deep defensive backs, man. I think he's a savvy route runner. We just need him to come down with it, but I think he has a big game. I don't like the way
stick him on his hands like they did in Little Giants,
Yeah. I think he figures all that out, but I like him to have a first big game. I was gonna say Mertz. I think Mertz. I know we're expecting to lean on his running game and defense, but I think Caleb Douglas. That's my X factor. I think he has a big game. I think he gets behind that Utah secondary early and often.
All right, let's. We did get a super chat question from Chris Sorley in the middle of his bickering back and forth with the Utah fans.
Chris, stand tall in those trenches.
Yeah, that's right, stand tall, baby. If UF gets burned by a 3rd-string QB, how does that affect morale? What if Graham Mertz throws 2 or 3 picks? LOL.
If he throws 2 or 3 picks, leave Twitter for the weekend, fam.
I'm getting my LinkedIn profile updated.
Micah Leon, according to Steve Spurrier, next man up.
Yeah, Steve didn't seem like a big Graham Mertz fan, but Steve, to be honest, I haven't seen the head ball coach out there a lot, but no slander on SOS's name ever from this guy. So if that happens, you took it away. If Florida gets burned by a 3rd-string quarterback, Mrs. Austin Armstrong will probably feel the same way Mrs. Tony felt about Florida fans.
No Publix trips in her future, you know?
I think Armstrong will fire back at y'all boys. Y'all talk greasy to him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's the same as Patrick Tony. I think also Armstrong might throw hands with y'all, bro. I'm be real.
I hope so. I have seen like a lot of fans talking about like Florida's going to have like those talking about this defense like it's gonna be like a Will Muschamp defense. And I'm like, I do like the depth better.
Right.
I really don't like Florida's safety room at all. Right. I like the cornerbacks. I like the linebacker room. I like the depth there. I love the depth along the defensive line. Like I think Justice Boone or a player like Justice Boone getting hurt last year might have crippled the defensive line, might have crippled that edge room. And now you kind of just move Tyreek Sapp over. You think Jack Pyburn's going to be good. So like the depth there is really good. But like Florida was 97th in total defense last year.
Yeah,
right.
97.
I think
like
the solution
to say
for
that
us,
they're going to be
my bad.
the strength of the team, I just don't know that yet. Like, are there pieces? Yeah, but we're putting a lot of projection on some guys who haven't done it yet, but we think could do it.
Right.
It's talking season.
Yeah, I think that what can help our safeties, because I think my cornerback room is they with the shits this fall. Excited about them boys. But I think what can help our safeties is just a pass rush that we was missing last year. That's the best thing for a secondary is a defensive line that can affect the quarterback and make him move and get rid of the ball a little faster. So, I think we're gonna have a really good defense. If the safety room is figured out and those guys start clicking, it could be elite. So that's where I'm at with it. Plenty of depth. What are you concerned about defensively going into this game? Just from every level, experience, safety, whatever it may be. What are you looking out for? What are you looking out for?
I think I'm looking out for tackling. Like Florida hasn't been live the way that Utah was. I don't think they were a great tackling team last year. I don't know that they're going to be great in week one tackling. It's just I think it's just a system of how football is practiced now. There's no 3-a-days. There's no 2-a-days. You're not taking guys to the ground. There's no way to simulate those live reps until you start getting them. And you're going to have to get them Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's an issue for me. I don't think they'll have a problem stopping the run, but like there were a lot of times last year where like Desmond Watson, we talked about him being a big run stopper, gap eater, and it's just like he was kind of just moved, or they just held him in place and did what they wanted to do, on a various play. Now he was having to play 25, 35, 40 snaps a game, which he won't have to this year. So I don't think fitting the run will be an issue. But that's something to look for early on, second quarter, third quarter. How are the guys holding up? Third quarter, early fourth quarter, late fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was a lot, Nick. That was good. Talked a lot about that. My biggest thing for this entire season is going to be on missed tackles. I think that's something that the Gators were terrible on. Actually, I've got another one. Tackles is number one, and then number two is going to be doing more press at the line of scrimmage for defensive backs. Those are things that I want to start seeing more of. I think that we have the physical bodies. I think that we have some really good defensive backs. I think that the top three that the Gators have of Jason Marshall, Devin Moore, and Jalen Kimber, however that ultimately shakes out, I think that you have three very good defensive backs there. I don't want to see us playing 8-10 yards off the line of scrimmage every single play. But missed tackles and our willingness to play press man on defense are two big things that I want to see in this team. And then ultimately, Nick, you made the point as well. From a depth concern, I just want to make sure that this team is conditioned and ready to go. There's a lot of players that can play. It's a lot of new, young players, a lot of people that we're excited about. But, it's that time when they tap your helmet, you're in. So let's see what this team can do.
Yeah, mine is just from a discipline standpoint, assignment football, not a lot of pointing at each other in between plays, like what the hell just happened, a lot of hands up. Didn't like any of that last year. Setting the edge, everybody just doing assignment football. I think the talent is there. So I want to see from Patrick Toney. That's what I didn't like last year, was just like a lot of, players looking at each other like who mistake it was after every play. So just from an assignment football standpoint, they got that Nate Johnson kid who may come in and do some wildcat running back stuff. Setting the edge is going to be important. Would have been more important if Cam Rising is starting, but still, assignment football is assignment football. Everybody knowing their job. I want to see, just from a leadership standpoint, Taraji Mitchell, whoever the safeties they have back there. I know we got the R.J. Moulton from Michigan, that transfer. These are older guys, so just want to see a defense that's assignment, ready. Even before then, we the year before Patrick Tony, it took them forever to get plays in, to get lined up. It's just been a continual year after year of just guys not knowing their assignments, not being able to execute. So I want to see an assignment sound, executing sound defense.
Yeah, and that'll be huge. One second, Nick. That'll be huge. You're replacing your two starting safeties. You're replacing a lot of your linebacking group as well. That's a lot of new voices. A lot of them are new to the program as well, right? Taraji Mitchell, R.J. Moulton, Manny Nunnery. These are all new names to the Florida program this year, right? And obviously Arson Armstrong is new too. But ultimately being able to communicate, knowing who to listen to, get in the right spots, understanding assignments, and moving is going to be important for this team, right? Because this Kyle Whittingham machine and these gears have been in motion for almost 20 years now, right? So they know the protocol, they know the words, they know the verbiage, right? So for this team, it's a matter of making sure that they're ready and focused and can block out some of the noise there.
Taraja. I got you, Terry.
Yeah.
I got you, Terry. Mr. Mitchell, I know you're a listener.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Taraja.
I said ja, right?
I don't know.
I say it wrong. Taraja.
Yeah.
Another thing to watch. I know Florida's talked really highly of Jake Slaughter. I just haven't seen a lot of him. And it's not just a Florida thing. Like, if the many teams across the country, outside of maybe like Ohio State and Georgia, if you lose one or two offensive linemen, your offense might tank. I don't know that Florida can withstand losing two. You start playing Tetris on super hard mode, trying to fit new pieces in. I do like Najee Harris a lot. I think Jordan Herman's a guy that Florida likes, but is he going to be ready? Staying healthy on the offensive line is going to be huge. Kingsley Aguakin is already dealing with a high ankle sprain that forced him to miss the end of fall camp. He's day-to-day heading into Thursday. If you're taking out your center who has started the last 26 games and has played in 40 games over 4 years, that's not a great start. So health along the offensive line, paramount to me, especially when you're looking at a Florida team that needs to run the ball effectively this year.
That's another thing too. Run the damn ball. Like, I think that cost us a
buy the shirts.
Buy the shirts. StayMcGale.com/shop. Run the damn ball shirts.
Run the damn ball, bro. I think that cost us the Florida State game. We was running down their throat first half, and then second half we got all cute. If the running games work, lean on Montrell, lean on ETN. Wear teams out, and then in the fourth quarter you want to bring the young boy Trayon in to get some more reps. Let's do that, but let's not get cute. If the running game's working and they can't stop it, and we just mauling people at the line, let the offensive line eat and pancake shit, man. That's my take for game one. Is like, let's go with what works. I know we're gonna go in this thing and try to run the ball. I want to see Billy Napier improve as an overall head coach, whether it's play calling, time management, and every aspect. I think like the time management was a thing last year when he was calling timeouts. Starting the second half, that middle eight is what they call it, right? If I'm not mistaken. He just struggled with that. So I want to see some improvement. And that's going to get us, I know we talk about personnel changing to get us some wins, but him improving that middle eight and how we do some things as far as time management will get us some dubs, or it can cost us. So I want to see him improve in that fashion as well. Game one, right out the gate.
Yeah, we had Billy Napier on in the program back a few months ago. So you can listen to that interview. And that's a lot what he talks about is being able to look back on this season and areas of opportunity for them to improve. I know time management in that middle eight. Silk, I know you asked that question about the middle eight. which if you're listening is the last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third, how much the Gators were getting beat by during that time. That really flipped the game, unfortunately, for a lot of the Gators games last season. Let's get an X factor for you boys against Utah on defense. So on offense, Nick, did you choose Pearsall? Did you pick an actual name?
I gave myself. I picked many names.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You clearly have forgotten how I work in season form. We pick every side of the fence, all the plays.
Yeah, no, I know. This is a black and white show this year. No gray areas.
Nah, the show seems gray as my beard.
Very good. So your offensive player, we're going to go with Ricky Pearsall. So let's get a defensive player of the year. We'll go in snake order. So Silk, you went third last time, so you go first this time.
X Factor defense, man, this is a tough one. Give me Jack Pyburn, man.
Woo!
Gets in there some situational stuff and go crazy and get him a sack or two and affect the passer. Energy-wise, I think it'll be big if Jack can get in there and get some stuff done. Give me Jack Pyburn, the boy out of 954. I like his energy.
Had a couple great tweets about Jack Pyburn.
I told y'all last year I was watching him on special teams, every special team. The guy was a maniac, bruh. And so I'm not surprised to see, him, like the things I'm hearing from in camp, because people that could just run through walls and don't care about, their face and their body and that type of CTE, they don't really have any reservations towards that type of stuff. Those are good football players, and Jack Pyburn is one of those guys. So give me Jack Pyburn out the gate.
All right, I'm gonna go with my boy Jalen Kimber. I know you thought I might go with Jaden Hill because I said my boy.
The season goes.
The season. I am not
going
to say that this season.
You can't retire that.
As Jaden Hill goes. I have to. That
was the best stick of the season.
I just don't wish bad on people. Nick, last year I said it goes as he goes. He ends up season-ending injury. So I want to see Jalen Kimber healthy. Out of the cast and everything else. I think that he's going to have a great season for the Gators. I think they're going to put Cam Rising out there. I think they're going to at least test him out, throw the ball. And I think that Jason Marshall is going to be a guy that they're going to try to avoid. And Jalen Kimber, without a lot of tape, is going to be the guy that they go after. And I like him for an interception and 2 passes deflected. PBUs.
Peanut Butter University.
Peanut Butter University. All right, Nick, who do you got?
I'm going to go. It probably won't show up in the stats, so you're going to actually have to watch the game, not watch the ball. I'm going to go Cam Jackson. I think he has, coming from Memphis, doesn't get talked about, I think, outside of Gainesville circles very much. But I think having him and then the guys you have behind him, I think he'll be able to play fresh. And he came into Florida to prove something. Playing in Memphis, he probably could have gotten drafted if he had stayed in Memphis another year, but he came to the SEC to show that he can play in the trenches in the best conference in college football. So I'm going to go with Cam Jackson in his orange and blue debut.
All right, let's give a quick shout. We're going to do an over-under segment. This is a reminder that, Nathaniel, we are not depending our season on one man. This is just an X Factor discussion. All right. So, as always, go support our friends.
That was for you, Jaden Hill. Your Jaden Hill, as the season goes, take.
Oh, man. Fangotickets.com. Go visit them. FANGO tickets.com. Florida Gators, Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. If you are looking for season tickets, if you are a season ticket holder and want to put your tickets up for sale, think about it for similar to Airbnb. I know a couple of you guys have already reached out about Gator games to do that as well. We are going to be working on a promotion to give out some free tickets this season. So go visit our friends over at Fango Tickets. It is free to put your tickets up for sale, and there is no fee if you are a buyer. So again, fangotickets.com. All right, boys, over under segment. We're going to play a season round here.
Over under Life Wallet, your Life Wallet stock trading
under
at 15 cents.
Under. Oh my gosh, Nick. Wouldn't 15? That be a day? the day my investment per share goes up to 15 cents. Yeesh. All right. So over under 5.5 wins.
You know the vibes over here. Over, baby. Big on the over.
I gotta have this crock pot all summer, Silk, just cooking up this negativity.
Yeah, you've been letting it stew. You've been letting it simmer.
Just cooking up this negativity. I wrote it today. Check it out on Gators Online. I'm going over 5.5 wins. Think that is
6
safe money. I don't want to ruin the entire season of Stadium and Gale right now, but I'll go Florida at 7 wins on the season.
Whoa. Nick, I don't know who you became since you got married.
Just brimming with optimism over here.
I like it. All right, I'm going to go over for the Gators as well. Rushing yards, 2,600 on the season. You guys might want to ask for some clarifying questions on what they did last year, so let me pull that up for you. Last season, the Gators had 2,603 yards.
How many of those were Anthony Richardson?
Nick. 654.
I'm gonna go over.
Ooh. Okay.
Over 26. I think you had over 1,500 just from Montrell and Trevor. I think both of those guys will get I think it's tough to have 2,000-yard rushers, but I think both will be very close. Add in some Trayon Webb, add in some Eugene Wilson, add in some Ricky Pearsall. I think Florida gets over 2,600 rushing yards this year.
Oh.
Mark, I mean, this man is high. He got Florida at 7 wins. That probably got me at 11.
15 and 0, baby.
Yeah, we're going to playoffs. And Nick got us at 7. That's a wild swing of events.
I got so speechless.
Yeah, bro. I've been trying to figure out how that happened. But congratulations on being more positive, Nick. This is groundbreaking. Give me over on the 2,600. I like us over as well. I know you're missing the 600 yards from AR, but I'm with Nick as far as the jet sweeps and some other things that we'll be able to get. And I think Merckx could give you a couple on it on the season. He could scamper for a few here and there.
Yeah. Let's see. Johnson at 841, ETN at 719. Oh man, that's tough. Just because I think I'm going to go over. Might as well. What do we have to lose? We're not gambling anything. Let's go over. I like the running back.
Real money.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
They were playing with
I've been saving 3 years of money for this. For
0% interest rate, Nate.
This is life wallet money. This is
life wallet money.
This is John Ruiz money we're playing with here.
Yeah. This is the same money that John Ruiz is a billionaire with. All right. Graham Mertz touchdown passes 21. His passing touchdowns 21.
Under. That's tough. Under 21. Yeah, I'll take the under.
Anthony Richardson had 17.
Yeah, I'll take
Year before that, Emory Jones 19. Year before that, Kyle Trask had 43.
K2, baby.
Give me over, bro. Kyle overachieved. We should be able to get. I think we can get over 21. Give me over. It's not my money.
I like over money. 21. I like over 21. That's less than 2 per game.
You've got a prolific offense. You've got 22 touchdowns, 2,600 rushing yards, 15 wins.
No, this is how you get 8-9 wins, Nick. You can't get there with 17 touchdown passes. We've seen that with Emory Jones, and we've seen what getting under 21 touchdown passes gets us. Yeah. That's Emory Jones end results and Anthony Richardson's end results. So I think we're a little bit better. I think we get over 21. We'll see.
You got to get there some way, Nick. I think we're going to have 210 yards rushing per game, and that's it. No passes.
I got under. My reign of positivity.
I'm curious. I'm curious to see how you get to 7 wins with over 2,600 yards rushing, under 2,100 or 21 passing touchdowns. You don't think the defense is going to be all that good. I like where we're going here, Nick. You've talked yourself into a little bit of what we call a pickle.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Nobody. All right. Passing yards for Graham Mertz, 2,300. I'm going to go over, by the way, on touchdown. 2,300 passing yards. What do you guys think?
Under.
Anthony Richardson had 25.49, and Emory Jones had 27.34. Give me the over.
Give me the over.
That's just not a lot. All right. So
I have not looked up that information yet. I might.
You try to be negative with no information. That's crazy.
That's nuts. All right. Let's see. Points per game. 29.5. Gators above or below 29.5 points per game. Last season, they did 30.7.
Over.
So the offense is better this year.
I think so. Overall.
And you get McNeese State and Charlotte.
Those should help. Last year you had USF.
Good point. Salient point, Nick. Over.
Yeah, hopefully the team has grown. They'll come in sleeping versus USF, right? That's what we counting on here. Some growth. Pause.
Man, I've completely lost track of my bets. I have no idea if it makes sense to.
Nick, you just got to go with it, buddy.
Let's go. I mean, I picked 7. Let's go over.
Got to go somewhere, bud.
Type push. Oh, let's go over.
Oh man, I'm gonna go over 2. Total defensive ranking. Gators last year, I think we're 94th. Total
97.
defensive ranking this year in total defense. What did you say? 97?
I think it was 97.
Yeah. Okay.
So
total
bad.
defense ranking 45.5, higher or lower? Obviously, lower would be somewhere between 45 and 130, and higher would be 1 through 45.
Yeah, 1 through 45, me, man. Big on the Austin Armstrong, and if he can't get us there, and y'all talk greasy, I think he gonna punch y'all in the face.
I'm gonna go over.
I'm gonna go
like 1 through 45. I don't know if I said
1 through 45.
I'm
Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
that's a big jump.
I think there'll be a top 40 defense this year.
Man,
Like that's not
For
good.
sure.
that's
not
good.
That's not good.
That is good for the
I
SEC.
need us top 25 to be real.
I'm gonna go over 2. I'm gonna say that the Gators rank somewhere. I'm gonna say 29th best defense in the country. A lot of things have to happen. I don't like to be a homer because now I'm starting to. Now we're throwing a lot. Now we're running a lot. Now we've got a really good defense.
No, other teams got to put up stats too, though. So
if we're talking about Florida being a run first team, you're at like NFL rules now, where the clock's not stopping after first down. It's like I think if Florida and Utah are both trying to run the game or run the ball, other than ESPN paying the bills and going to commercial, like games might be moving quicker.
Well, the game itself, based on a few, was like 4 minutes faster overall. There was like 7 less plays run, but the game was only like 4 minutes faster overall. So ESPN has got to cash a big SEC check here shortly. So do not expect less than 3 hour and 20-minute game.
I don't know that your watch time is going to change, but I think the play time will be faster.
Oh, yeah, you still going to sit there for 8 hours and watch a full game. For sure, it's a work shift these days with all the commercial breaks. But, the shortened games, it just means more time management. We got to be analytical, the nerds, man. I need y'all boys around Billy, the 100 soldiers, to have the yeah, bro. We got to have the analytics, and we got to be able to execute with the time, right, since you guys brought up time again.
Yeah. I think Florida just really drastically needs improvement. If they could have gone from 97th to like 65th, they probably have 2 more games under their win belt last year, maybe 3. So
facts.
Any improvement. All right, let's see. Go back to this screen here. 7.5 sacks for Princely Umanmielen.
I think that's a great number.
That's because you picked it, Nick.
It's tough. I should
You got to
have
eat
made it
greedy in
easier.
there. He got the number 1 on. He got to eat greedy. Give me the over on that, man. I'm spending all John Ruiz money. Give me the over 7.5. He's trying to go to the league.
That's what he was trying to do.
I don't think Princely trying to hang around Gainesville one more year, bro. I think he's hungry for that NFL check. So give me over 7.5.
I don't think he's looking for a 2024 lease.
No NIL deals. This is the end of that for him, in my mind. Barring injury.
I'll go over, under 10, over 7.5.
I'm gonna go that he gets. What did we have last year? 8.5 for Brenton Cox. I think he's better than that. Zach Carter. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong year. Princely Umanmielen 4.5 last year. Mari Burney 4. He just didn't get after the pass rusher last year. We had 23 total sacks.
Yeah, we stunk at getting after the passer last year. We had no depth, the motors on a lot of these guys just wasn't there. I think Princely affected the quarterback good on his snaps. And he got some good tackle for losses, so he lives in the backfield. But mark me down. He got some help around him this go round. Some say he's gonna get a lot of one-on-one action. Cam Jackson is gonna draw a lot of double teams in my mind. Haven't seen him play in the Gators yet, but that's my mind.
Right.
We'll see where we at with it.
And he didn't start all games last year. All right, I like him for 8. I like him for 8 sacks.
Very good.
All right, and then let's see. Go back. All right, Nick did this one wonky. Over under 3 wins versus, I guess, Utah. You would be 3 wins or more against Utah, Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, or FSU. Do the Gators get 3 wins or more? Again, against Utah, Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, or UF.
All of them. I'm just playing.
All of them.
Yeah,
so
we get more than 3. I got us for more than 3.
Nick?
That's what do you mean? So that's just saying that Florida goes 4-1 versus Utah, Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, FSU. Yeah, that's what it's saying. Over 3 wins. Does Florida go?
So then you would do 3.5. Yeah. Vegas would just say 3.5, but
I'm Gainesville.
You're not in Vegas. You're in Gainesville. You're in Vegas.
Under.
Vegas.
I've got a 3-2 record there.
3-2 record. I like 3-2. I like 3-2. I'm hoping and expecting 5-0. Think it'll be 3-2. All right. Let's get in to the final part of our show. It's the over-under for the Utah Utes and Florida Gators game in Rice-Eccles Field in Salt Lake City. So let's see. Over-under. Well, let's just call it out at the beginning. Win-loss. Nick, so?
Dub, man. Dub. You already know we running down on the Utes, man. It's already we getting the dub out there. Been saying it all off season. No reason for me to change now. W. Start this thing off with a win. I just want to see how we bounce back out to this. But I got us winning this one by 10 points.
By 10 points. Wow.
10 points, man. Give me double-digit win, man, on the road to the Utes. And then the nation is going to be on alert that Florida Gators is not, in all actuality, having a down year. How about that?
You get 100 extra Ruiz bucks if they win by 10.
I appreciate that, bro. I'm going to spend it right here next week on the over and under. I'm going to spend it right here.
No.
Like whose line is it anyway? They're meaningless and have no value.
Hey, rest in peace to Bob Barker, man.
Rest in peace to Bob Barker.
To the legend, man.
Price is wrong.
Nick, give us your win-loss.
I got Florida. I think if Cam Rising's healthy in Salt Lake City, I'd be picking Utah. I think I was picking Utah all off season as we got closer. And Cam Rising, there's no way he's going to be the Cam Rising we saw last year. I think Utah's a tough place to play for whatever reason. They play really tough at home. Their record show it. Their stats show it. I think Florida will get a win over Utah. I don't have it 10 points. I don't need those Ruiz bucks. I'm going to go 1 possession game, but Florida wins.
Yep, Ruiz Bucks are worthless, but nice to have. I'm also going to go with a Florida win. I like the Florida Gators to win by 8 points. I think that the offense is good enough. I think that the offensive line is good, but I think the defense is going to be strong. I think that I like our depth there, especially if Cam Rising doesn't play. I want to make sure that our linebackers can keep contained if there is a running quarterback behind there. But I like the way that Florida's entering this game. I like the enthusiasm. I also like the lack of expectation on them. So I've got the Gators by 8 points. Head out on Wednesday, head back out on Friday. So
it's too much speed and size. They got to come see us, man. The game's got to get played now. Everybody wrote all the articles how bad the Florida Gators was going to be this fall. Now the game's got to get played. Now they got to deal with Ricky Pearsall, Eugene Wilson, my 2 running backs. Like, the Riders can't save them now. Like, now you got to get out there and tackle them boys, right?
Yep.
They got to block Cam Jackson. They got to throw against Jason Marshall, Kimber, Devin Moore. Like, you got to come and get it now, bruh. You know, shout out to the Utes, you know, in their top 10 ranking. Beating the top 10 team back-to-back years is going to be a nice little present for Billy and the boys.
All right, last year.
What's a Ute?
What's a Ute? I believe it's an Indian tribe. All right, so against Utah last year, Anthony Richardson threw for 168 yards, rushed for 106. So that is 274 yards. Over under Graham Mertz production of 274.
Under.
Yeah, I'll take the under.
He's putting Ruiz Bucks in his pocket.
I'm just vibing out, bro. I don't want to put too much expectations on Mertz. You know, I don't need him to get out there and be a gunslinger. I just need him to hand the ball off. What I said earlier, run the damn ball. That's what I need to hand it off to these monsters, man. Let the monsters do what they do, and then we'll feed off the play action and go ahead and take them up top with Pearsall and Eugene and them. But we don't need Graham Mertz to be hero ball guy. We just need him to hand the ball off, and when the play action they start biting down on that run game, then we take them up top.
Yeah, I realize that that's pretty egregious to expect out of Graham Mertz. 274 yards. I don't even know if Graham Mertz has put that up in a game against.
He has.
I'm not saying that it's a lot. So let's see. So I'm going to change that a little bit. 1 second.
Well, I've already put my pick in.
Well,
Yeah,
Nick,
change it.
we can still count it, but let's see. Last season, Graham Mertz. Oh man, ESPN's website is truly trash.
You could just say ESPN.
Yeah. All right. So 168 yards. Yeah. Under. I think under is a pretty fair assessment there. Let's go back to Graham Mertz here real quick, just so I get a general idea of what we're dealing with here. 23. We'll table that for now. This is a difficult thing to find. All right, so rushing attack. Gators over under 220 yards rushing in this game.
It's a big number. It's a big number.
220 rushing?
Yeah, they had 283 last year against Utah.
Over.
Against the Utes.
Over.
4 touchdowns.
You give me the over on that. I said run the damn ball. We got to run down on that. 220, yeah.
All right. And let's see. Turnovers. Gators win the turnover battle. So,
Dan, did you give us yours? Like, what did you say?
He did not.
Oh,
Dan will be filling his out around 10:30 on Thursday, and editing the show on the fly.
Bingo. That's how you know. Over rushing yards, under 274. Let's see. I got to go. I'm trying to get. So now I'm on CFB stats, getting Graham's passing from last season.
Patrick, the team is not in Utah.
What?
No. Billy said.
Comments.
Yeah, Billy said that he talked to some NFL guys and he found out that getting in and out is the best way to do when it pertains to altitude. I thought that was interesting. I know there's some fans saying we should
soaking,
be out
but
there.
for altitude.
You gotta get in, get out.
Soaking.
You gotta raw dog it.
Yeah.
Gotta pull out.
So last season, Graham Mertz had one game. It was against Northwestern where he threw for more than 274 yards. So I'll probably go under as well. In fact, in his career, he's only done it once. So Nick was very sure to say that he has. Nick remembered that Northwestern game very well. Over under the turnover battle. Gators would be on the plus side. The minus side would mean that Utah wins the turnover battle. What do you guys have, Gators on the plus side or the minus side?
I think I got us winning the turnover battle. I've seen a lot of turnovers from those guys spring in some of their camp. I've just been very nosy with my Utes coverage. I think they're a little loosey-goosey with the ball. I know Graham Mertz have been loosey-goosey with the ball in the past, but this is how we win the game. We have to win the turnover battle on the road, so I got us winning the turnover battle.
Nick, you're on mute.
Amateur hour,
I
man.
think Florida had some of the dogs started barking. Somebody came and the ring doorbell went off. I was trying not to disturb the podcast. I think Florida wins the turnover battle. I will caution this. Looking at Austin Armstrong at Southern Miss, they're going to try to create havoc. I think they'll get more tackles for loss, more sacks, more turnovers. You're going to give up big plays. When you're putting guys in single coverage with a single high safety, somebody slips. Like I think Southern Miss was not good in terms of giving up passes of 20 and 30, 40 yards or more last year. You're going to get some big plays when you try to bring pressure like that. So I know that there's some Todd Grantham PTSD. There's some Patrick Toney PTSD. Don't put the sins of the father on the son. Give Austin Armstrong a chance. Let him cook. But yes, I think Florida wins the turnover battle.
I think that Florida does too. I like Florida's chances in this game. I like Florida to get 2 turnovers. I like Florida Gators to get 3 turnovers. They'll have 1 turnover of their own. And let's see, what's another good over under? Let's see, sacks in the game. 2.5 sacks in the game.
Over. Especially if you trot out Cam Rising on some crutches.
Statue Cam.
If they send him out there, it's going to be, prayers up to him. I don't feel sorry for anybody that jumps on the gladiator field with the gladiators. You know what I'm saying? At that point, all bets is off, and I need my guys to handle business. But if he steps out on that field, I don't care who's that quarterback. Give me more than 2.5 sacks. I expect a good front four. And like you said, Austin Armstrong is with the poops.
With the shits.
Yeah, there you go. I was trying to keep it PG. It's a family show, Dan.
Family show. Come on.
Not anymore.
Come on. Sorry, cover your ears. I like the Gators for 3 sacks. No, I like the Gators for 4 sacks. I like the Gators for 4 sacks. You know who I think leads the team in sacks?
Who?
Jack Pyburn.
You got Pyburn leading the league?
I do. No, just in this game.
Just in this game.
Just
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's ready to. He's ready to rip a head off or two.
So you like my X Factor? I like
I
that.
do like your X Factor. Not as much as I like mine, but. And then Michael Mitch, let's go Canes, best team in the state. You are in the wrong.
You might be want to focus on the other.
Make sure you hit the like button.
You might want to focus on Miami, Ohio. Y'all, you got a real barn burner on the way there. What's his name again? Michael Mitch Jr. You might want to go do some research on the Ohioans of Miami.
The Ohio.
However you say that.
And Nick is on mute again.
Hit that like button before you head out, Michael.
Yeah. Maybe Michael came for his distribution of Ruiz bucks.
yeah. He tried to
distribution.
Some mold.
No Ruiz bucks for you, Michael. All right, boys.
Put me down on Tyreek Sapp leading the team in sacks on Thursday.
Oh, I'm mad at that.
Tyreek Sack.
Tyreek
Sack.
Sack.
I see what you did there.
Ooh.
I see what you did there.
I didn't feel great.
I mean, if he's going to lead the team in that category, you got to call him Tyreek Sacks.
Yeah,
Bro, I'm just saying.
Gets a little
I
weird.
just do
then,
nicknames.
Right?
I just do nicknames.
Now, Tyreek
Tommy.
Sacks, when you make it plural, it sounds weird. I'm going to be honest with you.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
give us. Let's get out with the end of the show. Let's, as always, give a shout out to our friends. Here's a good one. Life Wallet stock over under a penny. We go over.
Under me. Pause.
Let's see.
Open your portfolio, Dan.
It's at 8 cents right now. Over under a penny. I'm going to say over.
Over a penny.
Over a penny, but not
It's
above. Not above 20 pennies. Not above 20 pennies. Let's give a shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit them on Archer Road in Gainesville, Florida, or visit them at alumnihall.com. If you want your polos, your golf polos, your t-shirts, your accessories, grilling tools, anything that you might need for a tailgate, go visit them, whether you're going to Gainesville for the 7 home games that they're going to have this year, or you're in town, go visit our friends over at Alumni Hall or visit them at alumnihall.com.
All right, let me ask you guys one last thing. What goes wrong for us to lose in y'all mind? Like, what happens?
Graham Mertz turns the ball over. Offensive line injuries and missed tackles, big plays. Like, Utah's good. Like, I feel like I get it.
No, for sure. 100%.
I get it. Like it's game week. Everyone's chest is pumped out. Like, this isn't – we learned last year. We talked, like, Pac-12 is soft. Pac-4, however many teams are left. Pac-12 is soft. It's a finesse league. They're not physical. Like, Utah had size and speed when they came in the swamp last year. And they will have that again. Like, they're going to punch Florida in the mouth. What do you do when you get punched in the mouth? I think it's a physically strong-minded team, but, like, it's not a cupcake. You're not playing McNeese this week. So, like, it would not be shocking if Utah wins this game. None of us picked them, but it would not be shocking if they win the game.
No, Gator fans aren't like. I know we feel good about our team, but we know it's going to be a battle just because everybody told us we were going to be poop all year. So the average Gator fan, especially if you're casual listening to this, going into this matchup thinking like, we're favored to lose. We just know this team, if you're a fanatic, a little bit closer than the average fan. So our expectations is up. But if Graham Mertz is the Graham Mertz of old. And it's turning the ball over, and we're just trying to get cute and throw the ball around. Or we get put in a situation where we're down a couple scores and gotta throw the ball and pitch it around the yard on the road. Just not the ideal situation. So I think just keeping the score within one possession, running the ball, playing defense, we should be fine. But if we start turning the ball over and the game gets to a 2-possession game, they get up by 10, it could get a little weird. So I just think we just got to stay injury free, like Nick said, tackle. If we missing tackles or giving up big plays, that could provide them a spark, especially with a backup guy. But just get out to the quarterback, sack the quarterback, take care of the ball on our end. And I think, they got some size and they got some speed, but I think we're bigger and we're faster. You look at the recruiting rankings and the talent, the blue chip ratios of where both of our rosters at. We got some talent on this roster, and we just got to go out there and take care of business.
Yep, absolutely. I think that you guys hit the nail on the head. Still a lot of opportunity for this team, win or lose this game. Obviously, we saw last season the Gators won the game, and then the season didn't turn out the way that we wanted or expected after that win. You go in, handle your business. You're going to have probably 65 plays on offense, 65 plays or so on defense. Go give that 3 to 5 seconds of relentless effort that these guys probably watch Swamp Kings, right? So the team, Utah is good. They have all of the expectation on their back. The Gators are a 5.5 win team, according to Vegas. They are nearly a touchdown underdog, I guess they are over a touchdown underdog, less than the extra point. So go in. I think that Graham Mertz is a good enough quarterback with the weapons that they have around him to win this football game. I think that you have to go in, you have to expect that you're going to win. And then if you lose, that's okay. You get McNeese State, you get Tennessee, You get Charlotte, you get a few games over the next couple of weeks to be able to redeem yourself. So, like I said, win, lose this game. This isn't the barometer of success on how the rest of the season is going to go, but this will give us a view into what we expect for this year. So hopefully I continue to get better. Just good sound football. That's all I want. Make tackles, make the out route, make those small 10-yard, 5-yard hitch routes, right? Don't turn the ball over. And yeah, I think the Florida's a better, more talented team.
Already.
Cool. Awesome. Silk, you have the song of the week. Before we do that, let's give a shout out to DJ Lagway. 7 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. His team won by a lot, 425 yards passing. And then Xavier Filisame. Incredible.
Filsamy.
6 tackles.
You sure it's Filsamy?
That's what his coach said.
Huh.
I just don't see it so, but 6 tackles.
You thought I was wrong about Micah Mazuka too. You're like, no shot, no way.
No, it looks like Mazuka. But
I was a lot more willing to accept that one than this one. Let's see. He 6 tackles, 3 pass breakups, forced fumble in their win, and he was, pardon me, the Texas High School Football Defensive Player of the Week by Sports Day High School. So shout out to Xavier Filsamy or Xavier Filisame. So song of the week,
Xavier Philosophy.
Xavier Philosophy. I liked it.
Let me get. I need some like stadium music, so I'm gonna go J-Rock Win. I need this dub. So J-Rock.
I was gonna go Beach Boys, Salt Lake City.
No, I won't need that type of vibes out here. I'll either go Kodak or something very victorious, sounding, but we can't give no Salt Lake good energy. We gotta go out there and pee in the lake or something. Change the pH, throw shit off out there while we out there.
Change the pH.
All right, let's get out of here, man. Show's going left.
pH. Get out of here. All right, we'll see you guys at the same corner, same time next week. Go Gators.
Go Gators.